Welcome, everybody. Sports Tonight on a Wednesday night. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with another producer, Smith, Lee Smith.
I love that. That was nice.
You like that?
That was a nice little intro right there.
I try to do something different for everybody, right? I mean, Brett's been on me about a nickname for him too, so I've got to come back. I've got to.
I got to have something because that is the most generic name. I love my parents, but they gave me the most generic name ever possible.
Well, it's look at the bright side. It's easy to remember, right? When I first started working here, I think you were one of the first names I remembered.
I would hope so.
It was so easy, you know.
First and last name are literally only 8 letters. It's really hard to screw that up.
2 syllables. Lee
It's
Smith.
like my parents were like, "Oh, when he's going through elementary school and middle school and high school for the Scantron bubbles, you got to fill out. Let's just give him a short name."
Wow, I haven't heard Scantron in years,
Yeah.
man. Scantron. Wow, that
right?
takes me way back. All right. Look, we have a various, sort of versatile amount of topics here. That's what we try to do on Sports Tonight, right? So let's start with the Hawks. We're kind of getting into the summer here. The Hawks, free agent season, right? Trade season. So Grant Williams from the Celtics has caught the eye of the Atlanta Hawks. Now, they're kind of kicking around the idea of maybe signing him. I believe he's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So the Celtics can match the offer sheet. So when you look at his skill set and when you look at where the Hawks are at right now, I guess I'll ask you first. I have my takes and opinions, and here we go, Celtics.
Hey, we got a Celtics guy. If you want to
Yeah,
jump on
Fred
for 2
Campagna
seconds,
guy. You want
Come
to
on,
step
Fred.
on in now. Think about the
I was
Celtics.
about to go eat my dinner, and I heard the word Celtics come out.
Come on.
Well, we're talking about Grant Williams,
You're
man.
talking
I
about
mean,
Grant Williams,
the Hawks might want to steal him.
A guy who goes to Michael Rubin's white party. You know, not everybody
wasn't
gets an
there?
invite to that.
Yeah, that's true. It seemed like everybody was there, though. It seemed like everybody was there.
Here, I'll creep
Really?
over your shoulder. How
Name
about that?
name a guy with less notability than Grant Williams who was there.
That's
I think
true.
he's probably because he's NBA Players Association vice president,
That's
so that's
true.
probably why he gets in there. But it is kind of funny. You see like Jay-Z and you see all these people. And,
Right, I saw like heavy
and
hitters there.
Embiid and Harden, of course.
Kevin
is there.
Hart.
Kevin Hart,
Right.
Tom Brady, and Grant Williams. Anyway, I won't butt in too much other than to say Grant's a guy that you love when he's on your team. For the most part, like I think Celtics fans are probably like 70-30 on that, and if he's not on your team, you probably don't like him very much because he's just kind of like he's a little bit annoying.
Is he a little Marcus Smartish?
So he's not like Marcus
Not
Smartish
as
in
bad.
that he's more annoying about the way that he has that's like Smart would dive on the floor or he would do something, and then aside from when he slammed Trae Young to the ground, he for the most part,
Shout out Hawks fans.
yeah, for the most
they'll
part
love
he
that.
didn't do stuff like that. He just kind of like walked away from it, but. Grant is probably a guy I think that could help the Hawks, but again, the Celtics I heard this afternoon are looking for a first-round pick and a sign and trade.
Ooh.
So, there you go. So, but maybe the Hawks can offer him enough that the Celtics wouldn't be willing to match.
It
Wow.
seems like everybody's offering at least like it's always got to be a first-round pick.
That seems like a
It
lot to
like-
go
yeah.
through for Grant Williams,
Yeah.
though, man. That
Yeah.
seems like a lot to go through.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a nice glue guy, good
Right.
player, good strong
Right.
player, but he's a role player, man. That seems
Yeah.
like a lot to go through just to be able to get him. you
Yeah,
know?
no, definitely, it is. It is. It's more of he's like a culture fit.
Yeah.
He's got to bring some defense. Go ahead, Lee. I'll let
I
you
was
get
just
back in
gonna
here.
creep over your shoulder, man.
Oh, no,
I
yeah.
like how you
Yeah.
just walked in, just.
Well, I saw last night.
But look,
it was
I will
the
say,
night
though-
before you had
Boston.
Yeah, exactly. Last night before you had Alan back there eating over your shoulder. Now that's more annoying. Somebody eating in my ear would definitely be more
That was
annoying
me.
than
He was
coming
eating
and
in my
talking
ear.
about the
Well, you
Celtics.
got your bag over here.
Oh, it was in yours?
Yeah, it was in my ear. But no, it's one thing I will say about Grant Williams, though, and just when you think about the
Yeah.
fit, I think for where the Hawks are at right now, I think they can use that kind of player, though. And so I think that role
That's what I'm
player
saying.
that will do a lot of different things for you and doesn't necessarily need shots, I think that's the kind of player the Hawks
Yeah.
need, though.
Yeah, and leadership.
Yeah.
He's going to give you leadership because that's just how Grant Williams views himself. So he's one
Yeah.
of these guys who's probably going to be the 4th to 7th best player on any team in the NBA.
Any team he goes to.
But
yeah.
he views himself as the number 1 or number 2 leader of that team, which is good. It's good. I mean,
That's
this is a
fine.
guy who's only been in the league a few years, and he's the vice president of the NBPA. So
Right, a lot of respect there.
either the players respect him, or they're like, yeah, just give it to Grant, or else we're never going to hear the end of it, like when they voted for that. So
Just give it
one
to
of
him.
those two.
He's got time for it. Just give it to him.
All
Yeah.
right. I'll let you guys get back after it.
That's
But
cool. Thanks,
Anytime I
Fred.
hear Celtics, I'm walking over.
Thanks, Mr. Celtic.
All right, there's Fred Campagno.
It's always good to get
resident
Freddie buckets in the
Boston
show, man.
sports expert.
Yeah, for sure.
And Miles over there, too.
Yeah, well, anything Boston, Miles, and Fred, man, they're all over it. So it's all good. It's always good to get Fred in anytime we can get him. That's a very busy man right there. But no, just a lot of what he was saying. I think Grant Williams is the kind of player that the Hawks probably need, right? I mean, they have a lot of guys that can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
They have a lot of offensive players that maybe kind of do the same thing. So I think when you get a guy like Grant Williams, he's the kind of glue player who's been with a team who's won a lot before, right? The Celtics almost won the championship last season, not this season. They kind of fell in their face this year, but
They
last
tailed off
year,
a little bit,
they were a couple games away from winning a championship, and Grant Williams was a pretty nice piece to that Celtics team. So yeah, I think he's the kind of player that can help a team, but of course you're only going to give up so much for a guy like him.
Right. I mean, a first-round pick.
That's a bit much.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I mean, what's he on the defensive side? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he does. He's a tough defender, so he's a good versatile player. He's a glue player, right? So when we say glue player, you're not going to draw up plays for Grant Williams and for him to get a lot of shots.
No.
He's a glue player who can score, who has the ability to score from time to time, but he's going to make his money playing defense, hustling, being the kind of player, one of those tough, hard-nosed players that you need on a championship team. That's Grant Williams.
I mean, the Hawks will take all the defense they can get.
For sure. Yeah, I mean,
All the defense.
Look, he would definitely help. So, I mean, I think that's why they have interest in him, because I think they need a player like that. So I think that's why they do have interest in him, but he's also the kind of player that you're only going to go so far when trying to pursue, right? Fair enough?
He's got a cap.
Yeah. So,
Cap.
hey, so let's move on a little bit here. We got some more Hawks to talk about. So the Hawks have been busy this summer, right? So not only do they have interest in Grant Williams from Boston, but apparently they've got some interest in Bryce James. Not Bronny James, but Bryce James, the youngest son of LeBron James. He was playing some basketball this week.
A little bit of an age gap right there.
A little bit of age
Just a
gap
little
there.
bit.
But he was playing at the Peach Jam in South Carolina basketball tournament, and 7 NBA teams sent scouts to go scout Bryce James. I mean, to me, that says a lot about where we're at in basketball right now, which I don't think is a bad thing, is that scouts are all over guys who don't even graduate until 2026. And it also says a lot about the clout of LeBron James being able to have his kids be visible enough to be viewed by NBA scouts. But what do you think about that?
I just gotta wonder if it's mostly just basically based on LeBron's name. I don't want to take anything away from him or Bronny.
Right. I know what you mean.
But like you gotta wonder if it's mostly just a name recognition thing. Although from the couple of clips that we watched,
Yeah.
he can shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
he can shoot from downtown. I'll tell you that much. But I don't know, man. It's so far at 2026.
Yeah.
Come on.
I tell you what, though.
He's not even eligible for to be drafted until 3 years.
Yeah,
from now.
he's got a while to even graduate
Come
high
on
school,
now.
But I think
It's like when you hear like some of these stories about like 7th graders getting scouted at for college, like football, like crazy.
it's big business, man.
I know, right?
They got to get there and jump on these guys pretty early. I mean, that's the way the game is now. It's a competitive field. I mean, you have colleges that are going to try to get on his good side to be able to sign him.
Of course.
You've got places like Overtime Elite across the street
Yep.
that are vying for players like that. But I think when you think about LeBron's couple sons, right? I mean, they both love basketball. They both play basketball. You got Bronny, who's headed to USC. He was one of the better players in the country. Now, Bryce, behind him, from everything we've seen, a lot of scouts, a lot of people feel that Bryce might end up being the better James. I mean, he's already 6'6", so he's probably going to be closer to the height of his dad. And if he can, if with his ability and what he can do on the floor, I mean, look, if he's 6'6" already and he starts to look really good, I mean, I think that he's going to probably draw more attention than even Bronny.
Well, and if he's got a little while to still grow into his body. I mean, my God,
Right.
what is he, 16, 17?
Yeah, and 6'6" already.
Yeah.
God. When you see him stand next to LeBron, they almost look like they're almost the same height. Oof. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy because LeBron's a big boy.
Yeah, he's big. I mean, so
Big dude.
look, I mean, I think it says so much too, and not just Bronny. So sometimes I watch these high school basketball showcases, right? And you see so many players who I remember, guys who I remember playing, guys who were maybe from my era or even younger. They have kids who are really good players in high school basketball right now and top prospects. I mean, obviously, LeBron has Bronny James. I was watching Carlos Boozer, he had a long NBA career.
Yep.
His son, Cameron Boozer, he has two sons that play, but Cameron Boozer is seen as like the number one player in his class. I mean, DeJuan Wagner, who was an NBA player, I remember him. Me and him are close to the same age. His son is headed to Kentucky, and he's hands down one of the best players in the country, probably going to be a top 10 draft pick next year. So I think when you see a lot of these NBA players from that era, they have the money and the resources to be able to give their sons everything they need to be the best basketball players they could possibly be, and I think we're seeing a lot of that right now.
And it's just crazy when you think about it to be, that young and get all that clout and all that buzz around your name, and everybody already knows who you are, and you don't really have to do much else. I mean, your exposure is pretty much already at the top. It's not going to get a whole lot more visible. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just really awesome to see. I mean, I think it's a good
imagine
thing.
being that young and it's like everyone knows your name, like you're a household name already. Like that's crazy to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, I was like crap, when I was 16, I was just wondering like how I was going to get to school every day. Like what?
I don't even think my high school crush knew my name when I was 16 years old. So I could just imagine being Bronny James.
Come on. Don't play yourself that much.
Hey, look. Hey, you know what though? My high school crush stayed like the same from like 8th grade through like 12th grade. Like I never gave up, man. I was
consistency.
I was consistent, and hey man, Janine, if you're watching, all right,
Oh my God,
that was
Janine.
I just had to shout her out real quick.
Oh wow.
No, but seriously though, yeah, I mean, just to be able to, like you said, with the exposure, it's got to be hard, right, for him and Bronny, for Bryce and Bronny. I mean, like they're never. I don't care what. They're never going to live up to the hype.
Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that's. For them, that's the hardest part, but it's also the easiest part because LeBron is your dad, you're going to get into doors that most 16 and 17-year-olds will never be able to get into. Unless you're Bronny James, he got closed out of Saweetie's party the other night, and him and Sharif O'Neal, Shaq's son, weren't able to get in. That was kind of crazy. That was on TMZ. I read that before, too. That was kind of wild. So, pretty much every other door is open for you except Saweetie's party, apparently.
Well,
it's kind of messed up.
Are they both 18 yet?
Well, Bronny's 18 and Sharif is like 23. I don't understand why they would have got closed out of it. That was kind of wild, man. I guess it was so many people there they couldn't get in. Bronny was like laughing, walking away.
Could be a liability thing for a minor. I don't know. I guess not for a minor, for alcohol purposes. I don't know.
I just think if you're Saweetie, man, I mean, you got to let Bronny into your party, right? I mean, you got to figure that out. I mean, he just can't just text her or something. I mean, they're all famous. Everybody has everybody's number. Come on, man. That's kind of wild. Come on. Oh, well. Anyway.
Meanwhile, you're still wanting Janine's number from back in the day.
Look, we're buddies. I mean, she's my buddy now. Look, I mean.
You're cordial. Okay,
yeah, of course. It all worked itself out. It's all fine. That's my good buddy, all right? Look, the Braves, all right? So, obviously.
The Braves got everybody's number.
They got everybody's number.
There.
Right,
everybody's number.
The Braves ain't like me. They got everybody's number.
Janine's number. They got everybody's number.
So check this out.
The other 29 Major League Baseball teams, Janine, all of them. They got them all. They got them all.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. So the Braves right now, I think most people would agree, are probably the best team in baseball right now. So even though they did lose last night to my Cleveland Guardians, right? They stopped that 9-game winning streak. But I had to put that in.
Oh no!
With an extra 10-inning win last night up in Cleveland. But anyway, look. So most people
in the last 9 games, I take it.
Yeah. So hands down, I think most people believe the Braves are probably the best team in baseball. So when you look at the landscape in the National League, who do you think is best set up to be able to knock the Braves off come playoff time?
Well, I want to say Phillies, but I don't think the Phillies are going to get into it. I still think it's going to be the Marlins. Yeah.
Explain yourself.
Well, they're a solid team top to bottom, honestly. They don't have a whole lot of home run power, but other than that, I mean, they can hit singles, doubles. Luis Ariz is just dominating an average in the entire Major League Baseball. Like, it's not even close. He's I think he finally dipped down maybe under 380, but he's not hitting 400 anymore. But like, to be in the majors and hitting that well it's insane.
Okay.
I mean, when you're like, 40 points better than Ronald Acuna, and he's absolutely tearing the cover off the baseball, that's pretty impressive. But they've also got some more arms, too. Sandy Alcantara, dude can throw it 100 miles an hour every pitch. I mean, come on. But I don't really want to count out the Phillies just because simply what happened last year. I mean, I know it's a new season, but goodness.
Yeah.
That was almost a postseason run for the ages if they would have completed that last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say the Marlins. Braves are 8 games ahead of the Marlins, so yeah, they're 8 back. The Phillies are 11.5 back. Mets, it's definitely not going to be the Mets. I can say that with certainty.
Yeah, since they signed that,
They got a lot of ground to make up. 18 games.
It's been tough for them, man. They just can't get right, man.
And the Nationals, well, they're the Nationals. So
You know who I like, though, of the teams who I feel like when it gets down to the end, maybe not right now, you can't see it, but there's a lot of baseball left. Man, I'm so intrigued by the Dodgers, right? I mean, they're a couple games back right now in their division, so they're not a first-place team.
Yep.
But I just say watch out for them in the second half of the season. I mean, obviously they got Freddie Freeman there, who's won before. Look, they have kind of a winning DNA. Mookie Betts, he's a champion too. I think there's a lot there to like coming down the stretch. I think that's the kind of team that when we get into August and September might get their legs up underneath them a little bit more and might really push this thing. And I think come playoff time could really be an interesting team for the Braves to play.
sorry, I guess I misunderstood a little bit. I thought we were talking about strictly the NL East. My bad, didn't look.
Oh no, I'm just in the whole
I
NL.
would say the Dodgers.
Okay.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got a solid lineup, top to bottom. It's not quite as good as the last couple of years, but because Corey Seager left and he's in Texas, just absolutely dominating with the Rangers right now. But
Yeah.
come on, they got Freddie. They've got who's the catcher?
Oh man, I mean just their line. I mean they got Mookie Betts still there, and those
I think
guys.
Justin
look good.
Turner's gone. Chris Smith's still there. That's
Yeah.
who it was. Mookie Betts, of course. I mean, they've got a great leadoff hitter and 3-hole hitter. So I mean,
Yeah. So I mean, just when you look at their, I like their DNA. Just being able to, a couple years ago they won, and so I think that when you look at a team like that, and especially they got that extra bite with Freddie Freeman, right? I mean, just imagine the intrigue if they're playing in the NL.
I would love to see that. I would love
Right.
to
How fun
see
would
the
that be?
Braves and Dodgers meet up for the NLCS.
I think it's possible. I mean, I'm not calling any shots here, but I think that's a possible matchup. Because I think the team who I would love to see play better, what they can't get right either, is the San Diego Padres, who got like 3 or 4 $400 million contracts on their payroll, but they can't seem to get right. They're 6
Yeah.
games below 500. That's wild. I mean, I think almost everybody expected the Padres to be a much better team. It's almost. I mean, how many? Seriously, what's their payroll look like? I mean, they're like.
Way too much for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean. But the Padres' payroll is like crazy, and they just can't seem to. I mean, they traded for Juan Soto last year, and it's like
Tatis, Juan Soto.
an estimated $251 million payroll. Yeah, man, come on, man. I mean, you got.
Well, they've got a couple others that I'm just completely forgetting right now. But yeah, it's incredible the amount of dollars they're spending.
They have like a unlimited amount of money, don't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
but right now they're only 40 and 46.
Right. So look at their salary this year. So look how many guys on their roster are making over $20 million this year. So you got Xander Bogaerts.
That's who it was.
Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Manny Machado.
How do we forget that?
Yu Darvish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some big money guys on that team, and they just can't get right. I mean, that's kind of wild. So you would love for them to be able to work themselves into contention because you think that, they have what's his name too, Fernando Tatis. I mean, he's he's making like $300 million or something.
So, yeah, but they've also got the Diamondbacks in their division this year who are just lighting it up too.
Playing well, yeah.
Very unexpectedly. 50 and 36.
Yeah.
But here's the thing:
saw
they're only 2.5 games ahead of the Dodgers.
Oh,
So there you go.
All right.
I don't know. I think the Dodgers take that division, and I think they're probably I'd say Atlanta's biggest threat as far as
I agree.
the National League.
Cool. You ready to talk some football, man?
Let's go. Always.
So I'm always anxious to get to football. So, CBS, they come out on ESPN. I'm looking on ESPN. Not ESPN.com, NFL.com.
NFL.com.
Right? So on NFL.com, and look, we've got maybe like most training camps start probably at the end of this month, right? So, I mean, everyone's getting all football ready. Everybody's fired up for football. It's the greatest time of the year. So, it's not always the greatest time of the year for some NFL franchises, right? I mean, you have some teams out there that haven't been to the playoffs in quite a long time. So, they put together their list of teams that are most likely to break their playoff drought, right? So,
The top 5.
So
Top 5 right here.
You got that top 5? Let's
ready?
read them. Let's read them.
All
Let's
right.
see.
Number 1, New York Jets. Number 2, sorry, a lot of scrolling. Detroit Lions. Number 3, your Atlanta Falcons. 4, Broncos. And 5, the Carolina Panthers.
So let's start with your pick and state your team and give the reason why.
I think it's going to be whoever wins. I think it's going to be either Carolina or the Falcons.
Pick one.
Whoever wins this division. I don't know, man. There's too many scenarios.
Well, you know what the roster is going to be already, right?
I think I'd take the Falcons roster right now over the Panthers.
So you think the Falcons are going to?
And I love Bryce Young, so this kind of hurts.
Falcons going to break their playoff jinx then? They're going to break their playoff drought?
I think so. What is it? 2017.
2017. They've made since 2017.
They lost in what? Philly, right? The year Philly won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got beat by Nick Foles.
Was that the goal line, Julio? Yeah, that was the goal line in Julio, the pass. Yeah.
They got beat by Nick Foles in the playoffs.
Nick Foles.
Bet they didn't see that coming, did they? Look, so the team I'm going to pick to break the drought is a team who hasn't made the playoffs since 2015, in which the last time they made the playoffs, they actually won the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Denver Broncos, right?
Okay.
I'm going with the Denver Broncos, reason being, right? So I think they have the quarterback in place. Like, it doesn't look like it after last year.
Yes, you're correct. They have a quarterback.
They have a quarterback in place, Russell Wilson, who had a really bad year last year.
Quarterback. They have a quarterback.
I'm going to attribute Russell Wilson struggling last year, though, to the relationship with the head coach. You know, the head coach they hired from Green Bay, he really never got on the same page. I can't think of his name right now, right? What was the coach?
Was it Nathaniel Hackett?
Nathaniel Hackett. They fired Nathaniel Hackett after 13 games last year. So
that's not good.
Yeah, he was hired. I mean, he was fired mid-season towards the end of the season. So that relationship wasn't working out. And let's be real, they only hired Nathaniel Hackett anyway because they thought that was going to attract Aaron Rodgers. That didn't attract Aaron Rodgers. So it ended up being a really bad fit between him and Russell Wilson. So I think once they knew they weren't getting Aaron Rodgers, that relationship had to end because you gave Russell Wilson a big term extension last year. So they weren't – look, Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere, right? He has a guaranteed like $161 million. He's going to be their quarterback. So I think bringing in Sean Payton, a proven tested head coach. Look at what he did in New Orleans with Drew Brees all those years. He's respected. He's a no-nonsense coach. He's going to come in and put things in place. And I think the Broncos are going to make the playoffs this year. I think Russell Wilson will play better than he did last year. And I really like that team as a whole because I thought their roster was really good when Wilson came in, but it just didn't look right last year because I don't think Russell Wilson was ever comfortable in that offense. So I think bringing in Sean Payton, bringing an adult in the room to be the head coach, I think you're going to see a totally different Denver Broncos team this year.
You're going to diss Nathaniel Hackett like that? He's not an adult now?
He wasn't ready to be a head coach.
Oh,
they only got Nathaniel Hackett because they thought that was going to attract Aaron Rodgers. When that didn't attract Aaron Rodgers, they had no use for Nathaniel Hackett.
So I do think they're going to have a better year than they did last year because that was pretty bad last year. But
it wasn't the best year.
But they've definitely got some pieces on the offense. They've got Jerry Jeudy, which hasn't really had a chance to showcase any of his skills.
That's true because he hasn't had great quarterback play, right?
That, and they've also got probably the best corner in the game in Surtain, too.
Right. There's some pieces
so, I mean, you've got pieces. It's just, can you put it all together?
Oh, I love it how you named two Alabama guys, though, too. Didn't you?
Yeah, well, hey.
Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Surtain, right? Had to put those Bama guys in, didn't you?
Always. But, the other one that everybody seems to be on is the Jets because they've got Aaron Rodgers, which is great until it's not. And he's 39, so
he is.
I don't think he's going to last the whole season. That's the only reason I didn't pick them.
You got A-Rod going down.
Although, I mean, is there really a better 1-2 punch at quarterback? If you've got Aaron Rodgers going down, you've got Zach Wilson coming back. So like,
ooh,
I guess I'd rather have Zach Wilson as a backup than a lot of other people. So,
ooh, man, I don't know, man. I just think,
But the Jets also have a decent defense, too.
Right. I mean, they have a really good defense. And I think the Jets will be the obvious choice, right? Because you have Aaron Rodgers who's coming in who, he's obviously still one of the more gifted quarterbacks in football. So you figure you put Aaron Rodgers with that defense, it's a no-brainer. They should be not only a playoff contender, but a Super Bowl contender. So it seems to make a lot of sense. However, I just can't help but keep going back into my memories of when Brett Favre went to the Jets. It was a very similar situation. The Jets had a really good team in place. They felt really good about their defense and everything. Brett Favre came there, and it wasn't a disaster, but it certainly didn't live up to what they thought it was going to live up to. So I think when I'm thinking about Aaron Rodgers being with the Jets, I'm sort of seeing flashes of that. I'm sort of seeing flashes of Brett Favre being there, where he was kind of lukewarm. He had some good moments, but it never really looked great, and they missed out on the playoffs. I think they just went like 8-8 or 9-7 or something like that. So they didn't make the playoffs.
I mean, when you factor in that Aaron Rodgers is almost 4 decades old and still playing professional football,
yeah, I mean,
mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, now talk about an adult in the room. I mean, he certainly brings that to the quarterback position. I mean, he's definitely an adult. He's a full-grown adult.
For the most part.
Yeah. So I think that will help them. So I think the expectation level is that they will be a playoff team.
Yeah.
But I just, you've seen these things not play out sometimes the way that they're supposed to. So that's why my pick is the Broncos, because I feel like Russell Wilson, second year now, I think his comfort level is there in Denver. I think there'll be a fire lit under him by Sean Payton. And Sean Payton's always had his teams looking presentable. His teams were always playoff level.
Just want to throw this out there. Detroit is their number 2 pick on this article.
Yeah, they're everybody's popular pick, right? I mean,
Jared Goff seems to turn a corner last year.
He has. I mean, he
a lot
played
better
really
than he
well.
ever did with the Rams. Wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean, look.
And now he's got Jameson. Well, he don't have Jameson Williams for the first 6 games because he got the whole betting thing.
Yeah, that sucked, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what was
but he's
that
got
about?
Jahmyr Gibbs, another
That's
Alabama
true.
guy. Scott, how about that?
How
about that?
Your Alabama Crimson Tide guys, man, they're all over the NFL, right?
They are.
I know this is your proud moment here. It's real good. So no, but I like Detroit too. I mean, I think they were kind of the popular selection after a really strong finish last year. So I think Detroit will have a really good chance. And out of the teams that we named, they probably have the best chance based on their division to be a playoff team too. Because when you think about it, the Bears probably aren't going to be any good because they had the number 1 overall pick last year. So they were not a very good team. And I think when you look at Green Bay, they're starting all over again with Jordan Love at quarterback. So we have no idea how that's going to look next year. So I think when you look at that division, in Minnesota, they're a pretty strong team too. So I think most people consider that to be more so of a 2-team division. So I think when you look at it just on the surface, it seems like Detroit would have a great chance to make the playoffs, but they're Detroit, so I can't give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they always find a way to flop or fall on their face, right? I mean, they're much like my Cleveland Browns. Those are 2 teams, those are 2 organizations, the Lions and the Browns. Those are 2 teams that just don't never want to win. So, I mean, it's really hard to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'd take the Lions. I'd take the Lions right now over the Bears.
All right, so I'll tell you what, before we get out of here, let me know what's on your mind.
I don't know, man. I didn't think
you got nothing on your mind? You think this far ahead?
I'm be honest
nothing
with
on
you.
your mind?
Hey, actually, my neighbor Miss Betty.
Miss Betty.
Y'all might know her. She's
All right. Hello, Miss
she's
Betty.
kind of like a local legend. She ran the Peachtree Road Race, and I'm pretty sure she's the oldest person to ever run it. I don't know. I might be wrong in that, but she's 92 or 93.
Wow.
So just shout out Miss Betty for finishing the Peachtree Road Race yesterday. I see her running all the time and walking. I mean, it's just amazing to be that young and still going.
Yo, this is a hell of a show, man. You got to work in Miss Betty in your show. We got to work in my high school crush, Janine Frazier. This has been a great show, man. I mean, this.
Hey, it's what we do, man.
If we can work in 2 people who have never been on this show before and somehow work them into the show while discussing 4 or 5 sports topics, that's a show.
Appearance from Fred too. I mean, come
on.
Why
we had Fred? I mean, this show had it all, man. I mean, if we keep doing this well, man, they're going to keep inviting us back, right, Brett?
Yes.
Maybe
right,
not.
Brett?
Anyway, hey, look. Let's get out of here because Brett's giving us the wrap, right? This is Sports Tonight on a Wednesday. We had a lot of fun tonight, man.
We did.
You want to do it again tomorrow?
I think so.
Let's do it again tomorrow.
So. Fantastic.
Later, everybody.
See you then.